So Martin Scorsese's The Irishman is finally filming. The story it's based on is wonderful. It's a gangster picture directed by the man who gave us Goodfellas and Casino. It's got $100 million budget. It will star Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel, Ray Romano, Stephen Graham, Bobby Cannavale, and many others. In short, the odds are stacked up that this should turn out to be a classic because there's very little that is currently working against it. Except maybe one thing. This de-aging technology. Robert De Niro has spoken about it a few times, and The Irishman's producer Gaston Pavlovich talked about how they will not use any prosthetics or makeup, but they've tested the technology and he said it looks extraordinary. They filmed Robert De Niro, did a test scene. They saw what it was like when he was 20 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old, and he said it looks pretty damn awesome. He also used Coppola's second gangster film as a reference for what Robert De Niro will look like in The Irishman in the flashback scenes. A little bit ironic to use that example though, seeing as though if that movie was made today and the technology that they're using for The Irishman was used in that movie, then a young talented actor like Robert De Niro would have never gotten the part. They might have just CGI'd Marlon Brando to look younger. I've been following this film for a while, about 10 years now, and I would say I'm pretty on the fence about this digital de-aging thing. I would prefer they went for casting different actors a la Once Upon a Time in America for the flashback scenes. As well as the margin for error being a lot smaller, it would also add a nice dynamic, seeing as though it's probably going to be noticeable when actors who are over the age of 70 are going to be playing 30-year-old versions of themselves. But when you cast different actors, they bring their own little ticks to the roles. I mean, if it works, awesome. Because of course, a de-aged De Niro means more De Niro on screen. I guess the technology is always improving, so if there's a time to do it, now is the time. Test footage has already been shot, and like the producer said, apparently it's extraordinary, but then again, he does have a vested interest, so he would say that. Another positive is that Scorsese is very anal about getting every frame right. From the way director of photography Rodrigo Prieto has spoken of the shoot, they are planning the footage very carefully. I'm reminded of Steven Spielberg talking about how every shot involving effects for Jurassic Park had to be pre-planned with the special effects dudes to ensure it would come out great, from the camera placement to the lighting and all that. Compare that, say, to Jurassic World a couple of years later, where the method seemed to be just film an actor and running in front of a green screen and then we'll just finish it in post later on. Netflix are the one producing it as well, so that's quite interesting, seeing as though they're picking up projects, risky projects that Hollywood has rejected, and there may be quite a big future for actors and directors with Netflix. The cinema chains and Hollywood are going to have to watch out. Again, like I said, the budget is $100 million, so it's not as if they're strapped for cash. And if it does turn out great, well, then that's just awesome. But with this kind of technology, there are several things that can go wrong, such as previously stated, whether the effects look good or not, we are still going to be seeing actors over the age of 70 who are past their prime, playing themselves in their prime. Is it fair to say they may not give a good-as performance as, say, compared to a younger actor in the same role? Plus, we do know what they look like back then, so we'll be constantly scrutinizing the effects, which will ruin the immersion for us. And Scorsese isn't exactly known for his digital effects. A lot of the scenes involving CGI, from The Wolf of Wall Street, The Aviator, Shutter Island, and those horrible digital blood effects from The Departed already look dated. This de-aging feat is something you'd have a technical visionary like James Cameron do, not a veteran of gritty, practical filmmaking. It may be that due to this technology, the film might not have that natural look of previous Scorsese films like, say, Goodfellas and Casino, where you know everything in the frame is actually in the frame. And to be honest, I can't find a single example from another film where they've used digital effects to de-age an actor and you can point your finger at it and say that is flawless. There's always something off about the texture or the eyes, whether it's Michael Douglas and Ant-Man or Star Wars or Rogue One. But recently I did watch the new Blade Runner film and a character from the original movie did pop up and it did look extraordinary. I was taken aback. But even then, that was for, say, 5-10 seconds. That's a far cry from, say, half the film being set in the past. But anyway, who knows? Scorsese is a filmmaker I trust more than most, and I really do hope it works out well for the film. So what are your thoughts? Did they make the correct decision with using CGI to de-age the actors, or should they have gone a different route? Or are you in the camp thinking that maybe they should have never even cast these old phobies in these roles? I'd appreciate if you take the time to let me know in the comments below.